3, 2, 1.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. This is the Arcade Cabinet Podcast, by gamers, for gamers. We have Bill, Billtendo, Chapetta, Scharonne, Herrington, and Fieryfoxx. And today we're going to talk about video games that made us quit the game so hard that you said, you know what, I'm done. You probably put a Wii controller through your television, push the reset button or whatever. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mark, and I welcome you to another episode of the Arcade Cabinet Podcast. But before we talk about the video games that we gave up on, we're going to share what games that we're currently playing. And I'd like to give a shout out to Billtendo. Billtendo, you are the man. And one thing that I didn't know, and thank God for the podcast, I never knew that I could play GameCube games on my Wii. I mean, I opened the top and it didn't register, but Scharonne and Bill, they got me on board. I got games from Billtendo. He hooked me up, and I ended up buying the Star Wars Rogue. And I may get this wrong, but I'm playing the Star Wars game. I'm playing the hell out of the game. I like shooting up the Death Star. Yeah.
Rogue Squadron. Good game.
Rogue Squadron. Yeah. That's what I'm playing.
Oh yeah. Oh man, yeah, that's cool. Look, the game I'm playing right now, I gotta rock it old school because I love my old arcade games. So I've been playing a lot of Vendetta by Konami. It came out about 1990, 1991, somewhere up in there. It's almost like a Streets of Rage style 4-player game. And I've really been enjoying it. In fact, the game's not long at all, but it's just so much fun. I wish y'all were here so we could play it together. But that's what I'm working on right now. Again and again and again. I've played it 100 times. I'll probably play it 100 more times. But that's where I am with it. Vendetta. Not Jeff Damn Vendetta. Def Jam Vendetta. But this Vendetta. Oh, yeah.
Dang, I forgot about
Jeff Damn Vendetta.
Yeah. I didn't play that one. But Vendetta, it's like that was my rock. Yeah. Quarter crunchers.
Interesting thing about Def Jam Vendetta or Jeff Damn Vendetta, whatever you want to call it. If you remember, who was it? DMX at the very end of the game. He was like the boss of the game or whatever. So when they wanted to make Def Jam Vendetta 2, the record company, Def Jam, came to him and said, we're going to offer you a $20,000 signing bonus to be the boss in this game as well, to use your image. And we're also going to offer you 1 cent per game. And he goes, hold on. You're selling this game for $60 and you're offering me a penny a game, and I am the main title boss of the game. If you ask anyone, why did you play Def Jam Vendetta in the first place? And they say, because of all the rappers in it. I am the lead rapper in that game, and you are offering me 1 penny per game sold. No thanks. And he turned it down, which makes sense. That was a horrible deal.
I've literally never heard of Ham Slam Vendetta or whatever you're talking about.
Def Jam.
But I feel like the wordplay that can come off of, get spam, don't fret ya, whatever, I'm about it.
Right. Man, that was a button masher, and yeah, it was fun. I didn't spend a lot of time with it, but yeah.
I mean, it was no fight for New York. That was a much better Def Jam game, but it was a decent game.
I never got to play that one, but I always wanted to.
It's expensive, man, on every platform. So, right now, I jumped backwards like yourself, and I'm playing, actually, my little Switch Lite is right here in my hand. I'm playing A Link to the Past from Super Nintendo, Legend of Zelda. What a surprise. However, in the last couple days, I did just finish Mario Odyssey, which is a phenomenal game. I wasn't the biggest fan of Super Mario Galaxy, and this feels like a true successor to Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine, and then on to Mario Odyssey. It's a full open world platformer with so many levels and so many obtainable collectibles. You know, there's like 880 moons in the game that you need to collect. I stopped at like 600, 650, something like that. That was enough for me. I didn't feel the need to 100% it, but the gameplay is fantastic. At no point did I feel like this is too hard, because everything was obtainable, you know, even if it took you a couple tries to do it, and very few things that I feel like this was too easy.
Right.
So, highly recommend. Highly recommend.
Oh, yeah. Great game. I played it.
Jenny?
Well, I'm also hooked on the Switch right now. I got a Switch, and I've been playing Animal Crossing exclusively. My island is called Lavender, and I have 3 villagers, and I'm about it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot like life in the sense that you're indebted to a raccoon that's constantly hounding you for money.
Right.
Well, it's like you get there and he's like, hey, welcome to this island. You can name it. And, you know, it's kind of like your island. Here's a tent. We're going to have a barbecue. Have a great night. And then the next morning, he's like, hey, about that tent. You owe me $100,000. Here's all the way you can pay it off. It's like, this is a completely deserted desert island no one's ever been to, but I have this really complex system with ATMs and like banking and credit set up so you could pay off your debts. He's a shyster. It's fine. But like, it's a lot of fun. I've been having a lot of fun with it.
So basically it's cute and cuddly capitalism gone awry.
Exactly.
I was thinking you could teach kids about budgeting. Do you guys, old school heads, do you remember the Cosby episode where it's like, oh, you want to pay rent? And they got rid of everything out of the house. And they're like, Theo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Teaching kids about finance. I'm all about it.
It's cool because
you're
like, okay, you owe Tom Nook X amount of dollars. You pay off your debts by inserting money from your pocket into the, you know, like ABD, like the Nook bank. So then it shows you what you have, your loan payment, and you can make payments. And like, I try to put forth like 100,000 bells every couple days, which is like the currency is bells. It's a lot of fun.
So let me ask you a question, Jenny. Sorry. When it comes to Animal Crossing, I myself am not an Animal Crossing person. I own several of the games, although I've never played it. I'm actually told that it's like a relaxing little time waster, you know, as opposed to like, say, Mario Odyssey that I was just talking about. It's very goal oriented. You want to complete this so you could get to that. But Animal Crossing is more of a comfortable time waster to where you can walk away from the game for a couple days and come back and pick it back up, and it's not really like a stressful thing. It's very relaxing.
Well, so a couple things yes, a couple things no. The longer you leave your island alone, it kind of suffers. Like, it'll grow weeds, and if you don't dig up like your fossils every day, like less of them will appear on the island. And also, certain things only appear during certain times of the year. So, like, if you don't log on for the month of October, like, you miss an event and all of the bugs and fish and fossils that are exclusive to that time. So that's, like, a bummer.
Oh,
But
right.
They basically made The Sims for Nintendo.
Pretty much. But it's really customizable. Like, you could terraform your island, and the clothes, everything. The options are really, really interesting. But, like, it is a relaxing game because you don't die. Like, the biggest threat you have is getting stung by a wasp or scared by a scorpion, and then you just wake up at your house. I mean, it's really not a big deal. And I'm so used to playing fast-paced games like Overwatch, which are really stressful. But there are goals. Like, I do want to pay off my debts in a timely manner because I want to expand my house, and I want to fill my museum, because you have a museum where you donate all of the bugs, fish, and fossils and stuff that you find, and you can like buy art from this guy and you can donate it so your museum gets full of all these really cool things. That's fun.
All And all of those really cool things were protested by PETA, and there is an official PETA way to play Animal Crossing. Did you know that? I'm dead serious. There is a PETA guide for how to play Animal Crossing as a proper vegan. That's not a joke. It's a real thing.
You don't eat anything in it, like.
Yeah, why would?
Yeah, it doesn't matter because the thing that they're trying to say is it teaches children to remove these animals from their natural habitat, whether they be bugs or fish or whatever, and to mess with these animals when they should just be left alone.
I think that people think way too much. I'm sorry, not think too much. They don't think enough. They overthink, or maybe they just don't think enough. I think people forget that these are video games. They're made for fun. I mean, I'm not gonna go remove a wasp from a nest. Correction, yeah, I'm a sprayer. But I'm not gonna take the fish out of his habitat and make him live on land. Come on, man.
Well, it's like the Grand Theft Auto. Like, I'm not gonna run up to a car and like punch a hole in the window and drag someone out of the car and then take that car and draw. You know what I mean? Like, video games are video games. There's a line between reality and video games.
I might do that. I guess it depends on the day and what's happening.
I'm more likely to do that than I am to, remove a bug from its habitat and donate it to a museum run by an owl. Okay.
Right.
I mean, if you stop and think about it, do you not have aquariums and zoos? They do that. So, come on, man.
That's Peter, that's a far reach.
Stupid.
That shit is just far-fetched. Come on.
That's a reach.
Well, I can tell you, Animal Crossing is definitely not the kind of game that I'm going to get so angry at that I'm going to rage and never play it again. That's for sure. There are games that are like that we're going to talk about, but like Animal Crossing, to answer your question, is a relaxing game. Yes. Okay. But I wouldn't leave it alone for too long because then the weeds get overgrown.
See, I better not buy that because I won't play it. I mean, I'll play it and then I won't. And a year later, I'll go back and it'll probably be at a factory reset. So
your island will look like a jungle. Everything will just be covered.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, right. So I guess, did we go through everybody and now it's the games that we just gave up on?
Yeah.
Games you rage quit on. Games that made you split your controller in half.
Right.
So I'll be the first one to talk about it. And back in time when NeoGeo was just everything and people that had money could ball and just buy NeoGeos, I was a fan, a quick fan, and gave up going quickly, was Magician Lord. So you're this blue guy with this big witch hat. You're running around magically just killing people. But I think you could only be hit once, and it was a wrap. And then you had to start over, and that sucked. So I quickly gave up on Magician Lord because of that.
Oh, man. Look, Magician Lord, that was the business. I beat that game only because I own it. But I mean, I remember playing it back in the day in the arcade. Yeah, quarter crunchers, that's where they made their money. It was with that game right there because it was great. But, man, I tell you what, it was unforgiving unless you made it to that checkpoint. It was only one checkpoint. You had to make it from the beginning to the checkpoint. If you died before the checkpoint, you went back to the beginning. You made it to the checkpoint, you were fortunate. And then you had to fight the boss. And, yeah.
You could only be hit once.
Yeah. The first boss was no more difficult than the last boss. I can tell you that right now. That game was hard. And, yeah. Look, I'll tell you the game that I quit. I just rage quit. I just said, fuck it. They had this game called Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox 360, Part 2. I own it. Now, keep in mind, the ones on Nintendo were different. Ninja Gaiden I finished both of those. I never really got to the third one, but that second one on the Xbox 360, damn. I think that they intentionally made the game too hard. And it takes the enjoyment out of it for me. If I have to constantly play,
it's like a punishment.
Yeah, it's like it becomes no fun after that. It's like, well, if this game is that hard, I'm not gonna play it anymore. And I honestly still in my closet right now, collecting dust, and I might sell it to you, Bill.
Life's hard enough. Just sell your shit game to Bill.
Yeah, I was like, man, screw that game. I quit. Beautiful graphics, but I got in there with this skeleton dinosaur thing, and no more power-ups, no more weapons, and you basically had to fight him with a spoon. Wasn't happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just.
For me personally, I have a couple games. Now, let me be clear here. I have never rage quit a game. I have turned that bastard off and decided to never turn it back on again. I've never thrown a controller or anything like that. But two of the games are actually embarrassing to admit. Number one, Metal Gear on regular Nintendo. I never finished Metal Gear because it was kind of a stealth game, and my young brain couldn't get that through its head. And as I got older, I played like Metal Gear Solid 2 on PS2 and stuff like that, and enjoyed them greatly. But I've never gone back to Metal Gear on the NES. Just never did it. I didn't see the fun in that game. Another one that's like super embarrassing to admit is, unless I was playing with one of my cousins with the Konami code in, I have never solo beat Contra. I've gotten close and then died and said forget it, and I never touched it again. And it has been 15 years since I touched Contra on the NES.
Contra's one of those games you get hit once, it's a wrap. You're done.
Yeah.
It had the same pattern though. I finished Contra with 3 lives. Yeah. I used to do it all the time.
Yeah. Yep. I finished it with my cousins when you play in 2-player. As a solo player, I've never finished it. Now on the exact opposite side of that, Bubble Bobble on NES.
Oh, Bubble Bobble.
So I finished that solo. And when you get to the very end and you play in 1 player,
start over.
You don't get the end of the game. It says come back with a friend for the true ending.
Wow.
So you need a second player to get the real ending of that game.
Bill had no friends.
I never played Bubble Bobble.
Bubble Bobble's on the Xbox. It's on the Xbox. You can download it.
I've never played it.
It's a classic, man. It's like saying I've never played Aladdin. Everybody played Aladdin.
The Sega Genesis version or the Super Nintendo?
The Sega version was better.
I had trouble with the Sega version. I had the Super Nintendo, but I wouldn't mind playing a Sega version again. Hands are developed.
I was a Nintendo person, and the Sega version was better for Aladdin.
That's saying a lot. That's saying a lot right there.
Lion King game, that was a rage quit.
So Fieryfoxx, what game have you played and was just like, you know what, I'm done?
I played many a game, and like Bill, very casually decided to walk away from it forever.
Right.
No.
No, I see you throwing a controller. Come on.
You don't know me like that, mother. Whatever. All right, so the one that comes to mind, though, like when I think about it the most, because there have been puzzle-based games where I've played them and I've just been like, I'm going to come back later, and then I kind of decided that they're just not my thing. Like, I just don't like games like that. So I'm not even going to count those. But The Evil Within. Y'all heard of that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I've heard of it.
It's like a third-party survival horror game, and it was actually directed by Shinji the Resident Evil guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deeper than music
Not
radio.
try to butcher his name, but I was like, I'm gonna play it because I love the Resident Evil games, and I'm gonna play it because I love psychological horror games, and I love survival games. The gameplay on this game, the camera angles alone, it's like you're fighting, and the camera goes behind a wall, and all of a sudden you're dead, and you're back at a checkpoint, and you have to like fight all your way through it again. It was just so frustrating that I was so close to the end, and I couldn't beat this one character that I watched a playthrough of it instead of finishing it. Because I just wanted to see how it ended anyway. Like, I had to know.
Wow.
So I actually have that game. I've never played it, so I know what game you're talking about. But as far as horror games go, I actually passed up playing a horror game last weekend, and I really regret it now because one of my son's friends came over for their 21st birthday, JJ, who's a great kid, and, you know, I hook him up with games sometimes, and he has a full VR, and he brought it with him, and he had the new VR Five Nights at Freddy's, and he's like, Bill, you need to play this, and I wanted to, but at the same time, I'm like, this kid ain't staying here for 3 days because If I start playing this, I'm not stopping until I'm done. But I do kind of regret passing it up.
My son just bought one of those things. The VR, the new one that just came out.
Yeah.
He bought one. He wouldn't let me play it. That's all right. I was like, fine. I'm going to bed.
I'd never do my mama like that. Oh my gosh.
Oh, shout out.
Right.
Just wait till you go to bed. I'm gonna play it.
Yeah. Shout out to Bill's grandma, by the way, that shares codes with him. I still think she's the coolest grandmother.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Shout
and real
Yeah,
quick,
Chapetta.
we're talking about hard games that we never finished. I'm gonna give an honorable mention right now to the Art of Fighting Part 2. I bought that game back in like 2002, 2003. I made it to the final boss, and I'm still at the final boss. So it's like, yeah. Screw it. Bison was nothing compared to Geese or whatever, Geese Howard or whatever his name is on that game. Yeah. But it was still fun.
So, let me give an honorable mention to Mega Man 1, because when I was a kid, Mega Man was cute as hell, right? So
Yeah.
I'm going to play Mega Man. I'm like 10 years old. No, I ain't. I'm going to keep playing the same board over and over and dying, but I ain't going to do anything. It wasn't until I got in my 20s before I went back and beat Mega Man. I didn't touch that game for 15 years, man.
You beat Mega Man?
Yeah, the first one. But I didn't beat it until I was in my 20s. I couldn't do it as a kid. Like, that game was hard, man.
You know,
You
I'm glad
beat it. You beat that hard game?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up, because I got on the Sega Genesis Mini Classic, the Wily Wars with all of the games.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to play each one of the Mega Mans, and I suck now. I'm like, I don't remember it being this hard on the Nintendo.
The same thing happened to me about a year ago. I went to play Mega Man 2, and I'm like, man, this is way harder than I remember.
You know, kind of off subject, well, sort of. But in Mega Man 3, and I think Part 2, you can do the same thing. If you take the second controller and you hold down like on the down button and A or something like that, it actually cheats for you, because it will stop the boss and he can't move, and you can just obliterate his ass. We used to do it all the time. Me and Desmond Barry, Mega Man 3. I used to love playing that game. Good soundtrack. And he used to play the game, and I used to hold the button down, and we used to just beat the Wily and Robo Man and Woodman and Adman. We used to dominate the game. In fact, when I used to play it by myself, I used to hold it down with my toes, and play the game with the second controller. Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow.
Figured out. I had to get creative. It was just me.
Your nickname now is the Game Wizard, Scharonne the Game Wizard Herrington. That's crazy.
Hey, that's not new. They used to call me Mr. Nintendo back in school.
Formerly known as the artist Game Wizard Herrington.
Scharonne had a Nintendo lunch pad box. I ain't gonna front, I had a He-Man lunch pail, so okay.
Transformers.
Wow.
Man.
Pokemon.
I will say this too. Another game I thought was hard, but I finally figured out a way to beat the first stage. Eastwat. I figured out if you hit jumping up, I can never beat the first stage. So I just gave up on it. And then yesterday I was playing. It was like, oh, well, if I hit up and jump like Shinobi, I can jump to the next platform. And I got to the final boss, and now I'm on the second stage. That took me 8 years? Eastwat.
Man, it's funny. Sometimes you just don't think about all this stuff when you're frustrated, but once you calm down, it's like, wait a minute. It's not that hard. It's like me trying to figure out the Rubik's Cube still.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is another great episode of the Arcade Cabinet. Any closing thoughts or remarks before we go ahead and close out this episode?
I know you can always reach me on Scharonne Art on Facebook. I'm there with my artwork. I'm working on something new in the background. You can't see it, but it's there.
It's a surprise.
Yeah.
Yep. And you can find us all on the Arcade Cabinet. Just look us up, and we're on all streaming platforms. So I'm Markivus, Furyus. We got Billtendo, Chapetta, and also we have Fieryfoxx. And in my mind, Bill, when I said your name, I thought about the Yoshi outfit from
Right.
Thank you.
And
I
also
hope that happens to everyone forever.
I hope that one day we can make a t-shirt that has Bill in the Yoshi outfit, just on the front of like a black tee, because I would wear that under all of my clothes.
I'm gonna make that happen.
You can wear it in all your clothes too.
All right, you heard it here on the Arcade Cabinet.